What is up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Dense Pixels podcast. One of your hosts, Brad, joined by my co-host, Carrie.
What's up?
Got a doozy of a week for you. We took a week off. There somehow wasn't a ton of news last week, so it actually ended up being okay. The post office is stuffed full with mail, but we must start with a topic that we haven't had to discuss for several weeks.
We got such a nice break.
We did, but then there's a lot of NFT news this week, which is really unfortunate. But we'll start on an upbeat note because NFTs and other blockchain technologies are not welcome in or around Minecraft, according to developer Mojang, which I think is great news. Given
how incredibly popular Minecraft continues to be after all these years, it's nice to see such a mainstream, popular with kids game come out and be like, you know what? No thanks, we're not doing it.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head there. Like I don't think we of all costs we don't want to be indoctrinating the next generation on these fucking things, which are awful. Again, just as a reminder, we've talked about a bunch in this show, but harmful to the environment. Nothing out there to show that NFTs are nothing but a big ass grift, a scam, essentially. Yet corporations see it as a way to make a quick buck, which lets us pivot into the part of the story that we'll probably have a lot more to say. Now, Carrie, do you want to start with just the obnoxious, or do you want to start with the inexplicable?
I'll start with the obnoxious, because
Fantastic.
I find it very obnoxious that Square Enix, which is a company that gets 15 of my hard-earned real American money bucks every single month for Final Fantasy XIV, has partnered with the NFT ecosystem engine to release Final Fantasy NFTs. They're releasing a FF7 25th anniversary NFT collection. There's like a action figure that you can order that comes with an NFT version of the action figure that you bought, which seems just especially stupid, because like an action figure, like you can hold it in your hands, like that's real and that's tangible. But these crypto douchebags are out here somehow trying to argue that the NFT version of the real life item is more tangible and more valuable because blockchain. Yeah. It's
the best. And my other favorite part of this whole thing is that there's literally like a disclaimer in the NFT that says, quote, "In case the engine services become unavailable in the future, you may lose access to the NFT digital certificate of authenticity and digital version of the figure." It's almost like a fucking JPEG that the blockchain has a certificate of record that says that you own it is in reality fucking worthless.
Completely worthless. And it's a shame because like the figures themselves otherwise look really nice. But I know plenty of people who are, one, huge FF7 fans and two, significant figure collectors who are like all in on this figure line basically up until the point where Square Enix said, oh, by the way, like the certificate of authenticity is an NFT. They were like, I'm not paying for it then. Like, I'm not going to buy this if there's an NFT attached. So like, I feel like Square Enix is more than likely going to, it feels like something that's not going to be especially long-lived. I feel like we've seen a number of companies in general, a lot of sports teams too, getting into the NFT game very late. Because it's like, most of them, like, the market crashed months ago.
Yeah.
Like,
it is wild because most of them waited because like they didn't want to dive in head first because they wanted to make sure it had proof of concept. And then the proof of concept was, this sucks and no one wants it. And then they're like, now's the time that I'm going to hop in. And
now we got to, it doesn't make any sense. But we'll see. As I've said before on this show, and I will absolutely stick to this, if they incorporate NFTs into FF14, I will be unsubbing from FF14 immediately. Yeah. Like, I'm not doing it.
I missed the point where Stephanie Sterling, that she brought up on her show this week, where how ironic is it that they make NFTs based on Final Fantasy VII, the game whose underlying message is corporate greed We'll destroy the environment.
Corporate greed bad. Corporate greed destroys the world. And meanwhile, Square Enix is like,
Maybe Shin-Ra were
but
the
like,
real heroes of the store.
what if we pulled a Roof of Shinra and just like,
We're Shin-Ra the bad guys, really, at the end of
yeah,
the day.
it's painfully ironic in the grand scheme of things.
Yes, very funny.
And then
what's not funny, and what it actually is rather disgusting, if you ask me, is that our former employer decided that they too want to get in on the NFT grift, because what the fuck else do they have going for them? Maybe they're trying to pioneer. I mean, NFTs are all about, buy, sell, trade, right? Like that's the whole thing about NFTs. So like, surely GameStop needs to be involved in this. So they have an NFT store. The reason why GameStop came to attention is, first of all, the prices of a lot of the NFTs are ridiculous, and they've so far sold a very small amount of money through their NFT shop so far, which is quite humorous to me. But what's fucked up is that I don't even think they're vetting what's going on in the store.
No, they're not vetting anything that's going on in the store, as evidenced by the NFT GameStop story of the week, which was GameStop's NFT marketplace was allowing someone to sell an NFT that was a parody of the photo called The Falling Man, which is of a person on September 11th jumping off the World Trade Center like mid-fall.
Yes.
And
pretty I mean calling it gauche is probably the kindest thing that I could say about it, in all honesty.
It's pretty up there in terms of like gross things I have seen come out of NFTs. Like,
yeah. Now, in fairness, that NFT is no longer on GameStop's NFT website, so apparently the negative media attention that came from it was enough.
Shouldn't have been up there in the first.
Should not have been up there in the first place.
It's clear evidence that like GameStop doesn't have a single person on staff looking through what gets posted. Like, it's just.
God, I like I said, I timed my exit from that company perfectly. I would have been out the door, like, or actively seeking to get out the door, had this happen while I was still there. Look, if you're a company that's getting into NFTs at this point, first of all, get new financial people on your team, because they're leading you down the wrong path. Yeah. But yeah, like you said, the bubble has burst. Prices are in the toilet. For NFTs, interest in them is in the toilet, because if you look at Google search history, it's less than like a tenth of what it was a year ago, or a year and a half ago, when it was first, a hot commodity, as it were. And that's all it is. It's just the latest thing, and there will be something else that comes along the road, I'm sure, that takes the place of it. And the only thing that does please me is that all of these idiots who have suckered into this grift will be left holding the bag at the end of the day. They will be the biggest fool, to borrow the economic parlance, which is the whole grift that they're trying to exploit. Just like any other commodity trading, you're looking to buy it at a price that you can hopefully sucker someone into buying it for a bigger price, and that's it. Mm-hmm. That's all NFTs are, because as we have seen so much, there is no tangible value in them at all. They are valuable because someone paid a price for them. That's the only reason.
It's simply the latest grift that caught the world by storm, and is sure to be a lovely little chapter in someone's finance college textbook in another couple of years.
Yeah, like I said, I will say I find never ceasing delight in hearing all like the Web3 bros like tell us like, here's all the great things you can do with Web3, and like they come out with these convoluted like usage cases. And we're just like, yeah, we can do that.
And it's always something that already exists.
Yeah, well, like we can do it now, and it's a lot simpler than what you described. So
yeah, they're always like, oh, you could read, get all these incredible books through NFTs. It's just like, or you can walk into a library and do nothing. This is already funded. You just
Yeah, I
walk
love
right
how
in.
imagine like owning a copy, like you being the only person that owns a copy of a book. I'm like, that sounds terrible. Like why
Yeah,
why would you want that to be the case? And what
no,
author would be like, yes, I would like one person to own my book.
one person.
Right.
Yeah.
Completely
The
ridiculous.
like we've seen like because what happens when artists do engage in the I'm making only one copy is you have shitheads like Martin Shkreli end up with the Wu-Tang album that no one else has ever gotten to listen
Right.
to. That's all that happens is like some shithead somewhere will have the opportunity and you won't.
Yeah. It's
We
all
don't need more of that.
it's all there is to it at the end of the day. So I'll tell you what else is crazy. Tell you what else is a wild time. The Dense Pixels Discord, which
Oh,
you can join by going to densepixels.com/fans. We've got tons of channels in there. Of course, we talk about games in the Discord, but that's not all. We talk about Premier League football or soccer for those of you in the United States. We talk about Formula One racing. We
it's
have
a
the
very active Formula One racing
yeah,
channel.
we have the Dense Pixels post office where you can submit questions to us that we answer on the podcast every single week. And of course, gaming news, gaming discussion with other listeners of the show. So definitely check that out by going to densepixels.com/fans. And while you're on the internet, go to youtube.com/densepixels. Find our YouTube channel. Click that red subscribe button because we post this podcast in video form every single week. So you can see our smiling faces. And you can
My
click the.
unwashed hair.
That's right. You can click the and my neatly coiffed newly cut hair from
Ooh.
last week. You can also click the bell icon to be notified when new episodes post. And when you're watching the shows on YouTube, click that like button because YouTube wants you to engage with us. And what better way to engage than telling us that you like the podcast? And if you're like, oh my god, Dense Pixels is so great, I want more things like Dense Pixels. Well, we've got a whole network of podcasts for you. That's the TNP Studios network, of which we're a part. You can listen to us. You can listen to the Nerd Apocalypse. You can listen to Black on Black Cinema. You can listen to Coming Distractions. And you can listen to the weekly preview episode of the Look Forward Political Podcast. And if that's not enough, if you have consumed all of the TNP Studios content, you're like, I still have not had my fill. Good news. For just $5 a month or $50 for the entire year, you can go to densepixels.com/premium and get access to all of our premium shows, which is a massive back catalog of evergreen content for you to consume. And then you also get new episodes of the Airing Your Grievances, nearing like they're starting to land on the runway. They're in kind of like the final descent of Seinfeld, almost done. You get No Time to Bleed. You get The Men with the Golden Tongues. You get Upstage Conversation, which we have to
Soon
record at
be
some point.
returning. Yeah, we do. We both
Yeah.
have to suffer through Dear Evan Hansen for
Yeah.
the sake of this terrible podcast. So
and arguably the biggest deal, you get the full 2 hours, sometimes more, long episode of the Look Forward Political Podcast. And let me tell you, you think it's crazy in hour one. If you've never listened to hour two, you ain't seen nothing yet. That's when me and Jay really let it fly, is in hour two. So again, Dense Pixels. Yes, densepixels.com/premium. That wasn't the only news. NFT news was not the only thing talked about this week in the past couple weeks, I should say, in the gaming industry. Another thing that I find really humorous is CD Projekt RED, the beleaguered game studio, developers of the maligned, or at least early maligned, Cyberpunk 2077, which seems to have righted the ship and found its way.
yeah, I mean, from what I understand, people who are going back to the game now after they have spent an extensive amount of time fixing it seem to say it's good. But yes, CD Projekt, which is the publisher behind CD Projekt RED, which is the dev team, saw its share value plummet by 75%. That's a lot.
It's a lot of money. Now that being said, there's still like one of the most valuable companies in Poland, because they're worth about like almost $2 billion essentially,
Right.
but they were worth over 10.
Mm-hmm.
or sorry, they were worth over 7, I should say.
It was like, I mean, I don't know what the conversion rate is between pound sterling and real money American dollars, but yeah, it's they went from let's say roughly $7.5 billion to like 2.
Yeah.
That's a
And
pretty steep
meanwhile, Techland, another Polish-based developer, the developers of the Dying Light series, have actually surpassed the value of CD Projekt Red just by releasing a game that worked when it came out.
crazy.
I know
Crazy how that happened.
what an insane notion.
Oh man.
I mean, again, like you would, it's inexplicable to me that more than 18 months on, we're still finding ways that
Is it really more than 18 months at this point?
December 2020 was when that game came out. Yeah. We're still hearing negative
It
ways that
feels like it
Cyberpunk.
came out last week, but of course, to be fair, the last 2.5 years have been a complete blur. So.
Absolutely. So, and look, I have the feeling that they're going to take these lessons to heart. They're going to make sure that when Witcher 4 comes out, that it's not going to be anything but fucking pristine. Lest they run into the same circumstances, and they'll also have the added benefit of not having to optimize the game for old hardware as well, which was one of the other big issues that they ran into with this time, because by all accounts, the PC version of Cyberpunk 2077 was never really that bad off. Like, it had its problems, but it wasn't like the fucking, catastrophe that was the, especially the old generation PlayStation and Xbox versions. So I would imagine that you will see this share value creep back up, especially if the new Witcher game releases successfully, which is due to come out probably in the next 3 to 4 years, one imagines. So, but still, again, that's a massive drop in terms of value, just because you had one bad game, and that bad game was one of the most prolific games of the generation, but still.
Yeah, like a game that came out and was like unplayably bad.
Yeah.
When it released after you spent what 4 years hyping it up.
Oh, more than that. Again, the first teaser for the game came out in 2013. They spent like 7 years hyping it up.
Oh.
Yeah.
Truly, the years start coming and they don't stop.
Cyberpunk 2077 is almost as old as this podcast. Now, you guys might remember a few months back, we announced, or no, we didn't announce anything. We merely read the news story, that Sony had made a significant investment into Discord, and they promised Discord integration coming to PlayStation. And we've gotten that kind of, in the sense that you can show your, PlayStation status on your Discord. You can link those two things together so your friends can see if you're playing on PlayStation. That's been about it so far.
Right, but like you can't do voice chat.
Correct.
Through Discord,
which is the one feature that everybody really wants.
For. Yeah, because like as I've said before, I've been playing it through Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin, and like I'm in a Discord server with the guys who I'm playing with, and it would be infinitely easier for us to simply use Discord. But instead, we have to go through the whole rigmarole of creating a party and doing party chat and whatnot. And meanwhile, Xbox is out here like, guess what? We have Discord now.
Yeah, you can integrate voice chat on the Xbox Series X and Xbox One consoles. So you can talk to your friends that between console and PC. You can switch between Discord voice and game chat and Xbox game chat. And that's pretty cool. And it's inexplicable to me that it's on Xbox and not yet on PlayStation. Like, how is that even possible?
It really makes me wonder if they're having just like a very specific problem with like Sony's UI or something like that. I don't know what else could possibly be the issue as far as Discord integration on PlayStation.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that PlayStation's hardware architecture led to problems with them, but that was supposed to be like a non-issue once we got to PlayStation 5, because they supposedly had made it like very close to PC, like close enough that the development at least on features is the same for games. That I don't know about any other soft features like Discord voice chat, for example. Yeah. But it's wild to me that Sony's like, here's I think they invested what, like $1 billion or like 200. It was a significant amount of money into Discord, and yet somehow we still don't have that feature yet. So very curious. But hey, if you have an Xbox, we got that going for you. And our final news story of the week is about a little company called Electronic Arts.
Little indie company.
Little small independent game company. And they reportedly, according to Giant Bob's Jeff Grubb, are working on a open world single player Black Panther game at their newly opened Seattle-based studio. So I guess a lot of people heard this information and they balked immediately at this news. Of course, EA, very well known for their multiplayer games, very well known for making tone-deaf tweets about single-player games that we talked about on the show a couple weeks ago in jest. But now they are reportedly working on a Black Panther game, which some folks were first kind of like amiss about because they were like, it's going back to T'Challa allegedly in this game, and people were like, "Can't you let the man rest?" T'Challa's more than just Chadwick Boseman, though.
Yeah, of course. Like T'Challa's been a character in the comic books.
Yeah.
For 60 plus years now. That sounds right. Yeah. I mean, let's get real here. Like, with all due respect to the late Chadwick Boseman, T'Challa had an incredible legacy and a long, storied history in the comic books before he ever portrayed him on screen. So I personally, as a fan of Black Panther and as a fan of Marvel Comics, would be genuinely interested in seeing what a single-player open-world Black Panther video game had to offer.
Yes.
Do I love the idea of EA being the one to develop and publish the game? No. But, I mean, I also recognize the fact that they are responsible for publishing single-player games that I genuinely do enjoy, such as Dragon Age Inquisition. More recently, though I haven't played it, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which was a single-player game that was critically lauded. So it's not like I'm going to sit here and be like, there's no way they're going to pull this off. Like, they've clearly pulled off high-quality single-player games in the past.
Mm-hmm.
This will be, I actually think, the second Marvel property that they'll be at least publishing, since they're going to be publishing Marvel's Midnight Suns, which is being developed by Firaxis and is due out later this year. So who knows? I understand why people want to roll their eyes at EA, because given EA's extensive history of doing eye-roll worthy things in the video game industry, I get it. So it's, I'll take a wait and see approach.
And the other thing too is that like a property like Black Panther is going to end up at some large production company. So if it's not EA, it's going to be Take-Two or Activision or
better EA than Ubisoft.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, in my eyes, the only production company that could make, that would be bet with excitement, I think, around the announcement of new Black Panther game would probably be Sony. Like, if they were like, Sony's publishing this and Insomniac's developing it, people would be like, oh, fucking yeah, like, I'm hyped as shit, let's fucking go. Outside of that, it's going to be a disappointment. You're going to find a reason not to be excited. Now, I'm skeptical only because this is a new studio's very first game. We don't know what the talent makeup looks like at that studio. Could be, worrying over nothing. But again, when you have a bar in Insomniac Spider-Man, and that's like the bar for, single player superhero driven games nowadays. And you also had the Guardians of the Galaxy, which was also, met with a lot of critical praise as being a really good story, way to tell a story in these single player games.
I'm still working my way through it, and aside from like one very specific sequence, the game is really fun and entertaining and fun to play.
Yeah.
That one sequence sucks, but everything else is good.
Right. So that's a high bar to clear. That's a high standard to hold yourself to. And from a new studio, we'll see. Now, this game probably won't be along for years at this point. I wouldn't expect it, being as it hasn't even been formally announced yet. I'm thinking like 2024 at the earliest sometime. So we have plenty of time to see, what this is going to look like. I wouldn't write it off though, just because EA happens to be the publisher of this game. So I think a lot of hand wringing might be a little premature. Let's wait until we actually get to see some gameplay, or at least a formal announcement before we start freaking out about this kind of stuff. Also, another reason that you could wring your hands, and I can understand why, is buying stuff on Amazon. No one likes to do it. We all just kind of do it because we have to.
Yeah.
What if I told you, listener, that there was a way to make buying from Amazon feel like 3 to 5% less bad?
Like an iota better.
Yes.
Like, you're still not going to feel good about it, but you'll feel a little bit.
You'll feel less bad, because if you go and use our Amazon link, densepixels.com/Amazon, you'll go to that link and you'll be like, this looks just like regular Amazon. It's because it is. The only difference is when you buy stuff on there, we get a small percentage of the sale. Helps us pay to keep the lights on, to get equipment that we need to sound fantastic for you every single week. Great audiovisual equipment, all that good stuff. Helps keep the podcast running, which we love and appreciate. You still get your Amazon stuff. You still pay prices that help Amazon force smaller independent fucking, good sellers out of the industry with their cutthroat tactics. The bastards. But, we get a little bit of money back on the back end. So, again, you're still going to feel kind of bad about it, but you're going to feel a little less bad because some of the money, is coming to your friends at Dense Pixels. So, again, that is densepixels.com/Amazon whenever you are forced to buy things on the decrepit hellhole that is Amazon.com. Never let it be said that we don't love our sponsors. We go to the Dense Pixels post office. Carrie, I had to skip around a little bit.
Are we skipping new releases?
No. Why don't you go ahead and hit us up with that real quick? Because I keep
new
forgetting that they're there.
So. Yes, so new releases this week. We have Immortality on PC and Xbox Series X. That released today. Multiverses. Why is Multiverses on there? Was there like a different open beta?
I think it was a beta that released before. Okay, cool,
now this is the proper. At large is still not out yet.
Yes.
But if you're playing the beta, you can do that on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. Null the Mortal Fate on PC and Xbox One. The Tarnishing of Jusha on PC. Autonauts versus Pirate Bots.
Oh.
Sure. On PC, Bear and Breakfast, which was a game I believe we talked about a bit at during our Key 3 discussions this year. You play as a bear and you run a bed and breakfast. That's out this week. Captain Velvet Meteor, The Jump Plus Dimensions arrives on Switch. Sweet Transit arrives on PC. Avenging Spirit comes out on PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch. The long-delayed Digimon Survive. This was a game that was announced in 2018 and was, I believe, originally slated for a 2019 release and got hit with numerous delays. This is a visual novel with tactical RPG stuff. I love Digimon. I am not optimistic about this game, just given its development history. I don't think it's going to be very good, but if you want to try it out, it's on all consoles, PC, Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch on Friday. Madison arrives on Switch. Story of Seasons, Pioneers of Olive Town, which I believe has already been out on Switch and PC, that arrives on PlayStation. And Xenoblade Chronicles 3 comes out on Switch and has been getting fabulous reviews. So if you are a Xenoblade fan, good for you, because you are eaten well courtesy of Nintendo.
I can't believe that game does get fabulous reviews, considering that the voice acting is perhaps the worst voice acting that I've ever heard in a video game.
It's pretty bad.
In my entire life.
It's pretty bad. Yeah. Xenoblade, people keep telling me I would really like it. I will say again, I have tried to play that game, I want to say 3 different times now, and it just... I gave it a legitimate try. I think I put like 10 or 15 hours into the Switch version, and I was just like, nah, it's simply not for me. But that's fine. Not every game is for every person.
So again, we're going to go to the post office. Go to denspixels.com/fans. You can submit questions to us that we'll answer on the show. I have to jump around a little bit because the biggest news in recent memory in the professional wrestling industry happened last week. And that is that one Vincent Kennedy McMahon Jr. has stepped down and is quote unquote retiring as the CEO of WWE after 40 some plus odd years since he bought the company from his father and forged the most successful professional wrestling entity on the planet Earth. Now, it bears saying that Vince McMahon is resigning in the wake of massive scandal, where it was learned and leaked that he's had many extramarital affairs and been accused of tremendous amounts of sexual harassment.
No,
I know.
wow,
I'm as shocked as you. I'm as shocked as you. And that he's paid to the tune of $14 million over the years of hush money payments to women that he has either slept with or sexually harassed in some way, shape, or form, to sign non-disclosure agreements, things of that nature. What apparently got him, what spurred this on, is that now the SEC is starting to poke around into WWE's financials. So one of the stories that came out is that WWE had to republish their financials for the last several years because the $14 million that he paid out of company money to these people should have been reported on the company's balance statements and wasn't. So they could be accused of misleading shareholders essentially for that.
Funny how that's always how these things seem to come out.
It is because Johnny asks, "What are my chances, pal?" and he posts like the famous mugshot of Vince McMahon during the angle where Vince McMahon got arrested. I can't remember why he got arrested, but he got arrested for something. And this was the mugshot that came out. Johnny wants me to say that he's got no chance in hell because that would be the Vince McMahon catchphrase from throughout the years. But here's the thing: Vince McMahon is a wealthy old white man who has political connections. I'm pretty sure Vince McMahon is going to be just fine. I don't think anything's going to happen to him. This too shall pass for Vinnie Mac. But it's still shocking that he was pretty much forced to leave the company that he built. His daughter Stephanie and Nick Khan are now the co-CEOs of WWE. And what's very exciting is that Paul Triple H Levesque, Stephanie McMahon's husband, Vince McMahon's son-in-law, is now apparently in charge of the creative direction of WWE. And many people speculate that Vince McMahon had been holding back WWE creative for many years because he had a very archaic view.
Because he's a cranky old white man.
Because he's an old man. And so people are excited to see what Triple H could possibly bring to the table, especially given how popular NXT was when Triple H was at the helm of that particular product. Now I will pump the brakes a little bit for pro Graps fans out there. WWE is not a speedboat. It is a cruise liner. It is not going to be able to turn on a dime and all of a sudden like become the show you want it to be. If Triple H is able to pull this off, it's going to take a lot of time to make this change. Also rumored to be on the outs is Vince McMahon's longtime confidant, WWE executive producer Kevin Dunn, who the internet wrestling community also fucking hates and blames for a lot of the poor direction of WWE's current product as well, because apparently Stephanie and Triple H do not like him. So they are they are on the outs with him as well. So I think overall this is going to be an incredibly positive thing for WWE. I think it's going to ultimately end up being a better product with Vince McMahon not there. But that's going to take time. Still shocking, though, to actually see the day where it happened, because everyone assumed that McMahon would die in office, essentially. Like he would just die in his chair. Yes. And that would be the end of that.
Like, I don't follow wrestling like that. I have many, many friends who do follow wrestling, which is why it's constantly on my Twitter feed, and that's really most of my exposure to WWE through other people's retweets. But yeah, I mean, shit, I'll watch it if it becomes good.
Yeah.
I've never been opposed. It's just like this seems like it sucks these days. So like, why would I invest the energy
Yeah.
into something that seems like it sucks?
So quite a wrestling bombshell. Daniel asks, do you put the bread tie back on, or do you simply twist and tuck?
I'm a bread tie back on
Yeah.
person,
Yeah.
and that's mostly because I have two cats who are very stupid, and if I don't put the bread tie back on, that means it ends up on the floor, which means that my son eats it. So I've had some terrible dingleberries with him before due to him eating stuff off the floor that he shouldn't eat. Not trying to do any more of that.
Look, I'm just gonna say it plain as I do on the show. If you twist and tuck, you're a savage. What the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you even on this planet Earth if you twist and tuck? The tie's there for a reason. It's not there just for you to fucking throw it in the trash. Oh, the expiration date, the sell by date is this. Great, who cares? I don't need this shit anymore. Use the fucking tie, the twist and tie, no less. Like don't just fucking throw the tie back on there. Like, twist that fucker up, then tie it off. That way, when the twist unfurls, you have a nice secure tie to keep your bread as fresh as possible. Twisting and tucking does nothing. You might as well leave it open at that point. It's the worst. Fucking insanity, twist and tuck people. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
All of you.
Nuts.
Cam asks, what video game do you think has the best needle drop soundtrack, and why is it Road Rash 1994? I think Tony Hawk's Pro Skater would have an argument with you.
Period. Like, people's, like, my generation especially had their entire musical, like, frame of mind shaped by Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and also 2, but 1 especially, because one has Superman by Goldfinger, one has Primus, one has Dead Kennedys, you got Rage Against the Machine, Bad Religion, Naughty by Nature, like, fuck out of here. Road Rash 94. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater has the best needle drop soundtrack of all time, and it's not even close.
I do have a deep affinity for the EA Sports titles of the early aughts as well. That like they seem to just have a cavalcade of banger soundtracks in like the 03, 04, 05 eras, which were really entertaining to listen to. But look, I'm not even a Tony Hawk Pro Skater fan, and I will still cede to the Tony Hawk Pro Skater folks. And you might get some argument from some old Sega people for Crazy Taxi, but that's probably the only other one.
You know what? Like, I can dig on Crazy Taxi, but like we don't get to Crazy Taxi without Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, I think.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I don't know if does Vice City get in the conversation here.
I think that's a conversation to have. Yes,
Vice City and San Andreas.
Oh, you know what? Tony Hawk's and Crazy Taxi came out the same year, so that's about the same. Yeah, I mean, like the soundtrack in Crazy Taxi. Crazy Taxi is one of my favorite games to bullshit around with. Period. Yeah, look, that's a good one. SSX Tricky has a good needle drop soundtrack. Yeah, I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy has a good needle drop soundtrack. Yeah, I thought I was being punked when I was like in the middle of a boss fight and I like triggered the music change and it was like New Kids on the Block. I was like, hello? I was like, okay.
But bit of a lost art, the needle drop soundtrack anymore. I feel like outside of sports games, I don't feel like you get it too much.
I understand it though, because like the amount of licensing work that has to go into that is pretty extensive. I believe the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remakes were actually missing some songs that were on the original because they couldn't re-secure the rights to use those. But literally, like, my band, which is a video game band, we cover Superman by Goldfinger because of how closely associated it is with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. So like, fucking miss me with Road Rash.
I mean, I personally could not even name one song on the Road Rash 94 soundtrack.
No,
off the top of my head. Sorry, Cam. But I am also not in agreement with you there. I would be interested to hear Micah's and Terrence's take on this question as well, because I don't know if their musical tastes align with yours and mine as much. So they might have wildly different opinions.
I listen to a lot of music. Like I feel like I had a conversation with Jay and Micah not too terribly long ago where I was like, yes, I've listened to Belle Biv DeVoe before. Like I might be a white girl, but I know a lot of these older like R&B and whatnot. It's just anyway.
Yeah.
Road rat. Fuck off, Cam.
Rogue G asks, if you could force your co-host to watch or play something to 100% completion, what would you force them to watch or play? Preferably something that they haven't experienced before. Look, I've already talked about this on the show. Like, me and Micah really want Carrie to play through the Mass Effect trilogy at some point.
That's fair. I figured that was gonna...
Yeah.
Maybe one day I'll get around to it. You know what? I feel like the expected answer is Golden Sun, but I don't want to say that.
I tried Golden Sun Dark Dawn, but I didn't
Dark Dawn's the worst of the three. I would say the first two for sure. I don't know, more seriously, I guess like Paradise Killer? Like
that's something I can actually do too. Don't give me that.
Yeah, I would say Paradise Killer just because I think everyone should play that game. So yeah. Pretty sure it's on sale right now for like $12 too, so you really don't have an excuse not to.
Would I lose out on anything by getting it on the Switch instead of like the PlayStation?
I don't think so.
Okay.
It's like, you don't get as good ray tracing on the Switch. Like, it's fine. It's most of the characters you're interacting with are 2D characters. So.
Yep. Let's see here. Cam comes back. He says Ric Flair's quote-unquote final match has been officially announced, and it's him and his son-in-law Andrade versus Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett. What percentage chance does this thing have ending with a dead body? If Ric Flair wrestles more than 5 combined minutes in this match, I would be shocked. Like he's... And what's funny is that he's probably going to win, which doesn't make sense. Typically, the accepted courtesy that you do in professional wrestling is you quote unquote go out on your back. But then again, there's no one to really give the rub to in this match. So I guess it's fine that Ric Flair is probably going to make Jay Lethal tap out to the figure 4. Like that's probably what's going to happen in this match. This is going to be a fucking train wreck shit show. And I implore all of you out there who are considering paying money to watch this, don't.
Yeah, reconsider.
Don't do that. Film Wanderer asks, what is the highest difficulty y'all have ever played on?
That's sort of tough in so much that like some games are inherently harder than others, right?
Because I play Diablo, I get to cheat and say Torment 11 is the highest difficulty that I've ever played on. So.
I mean, I would say, you know, when I play more recent Fire Emblem games, I play on like hard mode with permadeath turned on. So that's probably where it is. But that's just how all the old Fire Emblems were, and then they made it more accessible, which like on one hand nice, but on the other hand, I think less of you if you play on casual mode. So.
And then finally, Sushi and Sashimi asks Micah how he feels after Chelsea lost to an MLS team. Look, they aren't the only Premier League team that lost to an MLS squad on their American barnstorming tour, and preseason soccer means nothing. So I wouldn't put too much stock into that. I'm pretty sure Chelsea is still going to be in the mix for top 4 in the Premier League this season without too much trouble. And that is all this week. A bit of a shorter show.
Couple quick things before we wrap up. One, we didn't talk what we were playing new recently, and I bought and played through all of the cat game, Stray.
Oh, you did you?
I did.
Oh, that's right, yes. You did. You said on Twitter that you weren't sure why everyone was hyping it up so much.
Yeah, it's become very much like a critical darling, and I have to sort of wonder how much of that is due in part to the fact that it's published by Annapurna. I feel like if it was published by a less prestigious indie house, it might not be getting the same kind of attention. But as an Annapurna game, it sort of has that natural air about it.
Mhm.
I thought it was fine. I enjoyed it for what it was. I think they did a spectacular job at like accurately animating how a cat behaves in an environment like this. It is ultimately, it's about 5 hours long, playing through casually. I got most of the memories, not all, but most. And it's fine. It's, there are portions of the game that are these sort of like large, open, exploratory portions where you can really take your time in it, and those are great. And then there are these segments that are like literally running down a hallway, and those are less great. Overall, at $30, it's fine. I think I would honestly feel better about it even if it was $25.
Mhm.
It's just it's it's fine. Maybe wait until it's on sale if you want my honest opinion. It's a short experience. You can literally play through it in an entire afternoon, like I did. Uh, but cat game, it's cute, and for anyone who's concerned, like the cat does not die. I
That would
feel
have
like
been that would have been a ballsy fucking move if they
right,
had
to like
somehow killed the
get you
cat.
really attached to this cute cat and then kill it. No, there are, however, and I feel like not enough people are talking about it. The cat does take a couple of really hard falls, and like limps around, and like as someone who has cats, that's very hard to watch and to interact with. Cat gets better, it's fine. Bit of a bittersweet ending. Cat doesn't die though. But yeah, Stray, it's fine. A lot of people are talking about it. I feel like if it was published by anyone other than Annapurna, it would be getting sevens out of tens rather than like nines, though. So
I think I'd like to get it and have my wife play it because I think she would like it. She likes those like low intensity like games of that sort.
mhm.
So and I know like there's no combat or anything in the game and things of that nature as well.
Oh, yes and no. There's moments of combat-ish
I've
in.
heard there's like stealth sections spread
There's,
throughout the
yeah, and
game.
the stealth is very weak. Like
Yeah.
it's not like it's hard. Like it's just like, okay, cool, this is what I have to do. Like
Yeah.
there's no thought involved to the stealth approach to take. It's very obvious and straightforward, and that kind of
Gotcha.
makes it not fun. But yeah, cat game, it's fine. Um, and other than that, the other thing is this Saturday at the Auto Bar in Baltimore is the 15th BitGen Gamer Fest. After having to take the past couple years off, BitGen is back. My band Quicksave opens up the show right at 3:30 p.m. on the main stage with what's going to be a tight set. But we're doing some classics, we're doing some new stuff. I'm very excited to be there. There are a total of 18 bands performing over the course of the day. There's a second stage at the Auto Bar upstairs, so there's going to be ping-ponging bands. So as soon as one band ends, another one's going to start at the other stage. So tickets are on sale now. They're like $38 if you buy them in advance. I think they're $5 or $10 more if you buy them day of. But if you're in the area and you like video games and you like video game music, come out to BitGen. It's like a very condensed MagFest experience
Hmm.
because they do bring in arcade cabs and consoles and whatnot for people to play games and whatnot too. So should be a really good time. So if you're in the area, hope to see you there. And if you live in New Jersey, QuickSave is playing at PoochieCon on August 7th. So that'll be our very first out of state show. So we're excited to road trip for that. And that'll be a much longer set than the one we have planned for BitGen. But yeah, next couple weeks full of gigs for QuickSave. So
Is PoochieCon dedicated to the
to
very
the Yoshi
brief
character.
but popular character from Itchy and Scratchy voiced by Homer Simpson?
No, not dedicated to that character either.
Oh my goodness. Again, make sure you join our Discord by going to denspixels.com/fans. Subscribe to this show as well as all the other TNP Studio shows wherever you download fine podcasts. If you go to youtube.com/denspixels, you can subscribe there as well. While you're clicking subscribe and follow buttons all over the place, go to twitch.tv/denspixels to follow the main channel, and you can follow us all individually as well. I'm denspixels Brad. Carrie is up. It's Carrie. Terrence is Apparition 410. Micah does not stream on Twitch. I mean, to be fair, we barely do either. But, he definitely doesn't do it at all. So, bit of a shorter show this week. Like I said, news was light. And I'm recording Look Forward in about 20 minutes or so. So
yeah, so we got to
time was of the essence. Thank you guys very much for watching and listening. And we'll see you all the next time.
See ya.
You're watching the Dense Pixels YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button while you're here and make sure you check out our weekly podcast where we discuss the latest gaming news and our impressions on what games we've been playing.